Hello and welcome back to another episode from Back to Basics Vintage Story, where we're not playing with any mods, not playing with any configuration changes, nothing. This is a purely vanilla world, as straight out to the actual box. So different type of episode today. It is going to be voice over Andy today. That's right, Windows did the dirty, messed up my OBS settings, and I recorded pretty much a full swinging episode with none of my audio in it, so I'm gonna have to do a bit of a voiceover. This video is pretty much broken into a little bit of exploration. I want to basically take you to an area that I found, which I'll go into a little bit more detail a little bit later on, and I've been investigating some ruins, gathering up some more food, as well as basically making some tools and a brand new farm. We're going to be doing a farm today, which is super important. But yeah, at this moment in time, we are pretty close to my base. We're not a million miles from it, but it's areas that I've not really explored too much of. And I basically wanted to see just basically what's around, if there's any seeds or anything like that around. Still really struggling with seeds, unfortunately. Now we're back at base now, and to be honest, not a great deal has changed. I made a few extra ingots. Well, I made some ingots. I didn't have any ingot molds whatsoever. And I've realised basically it was actually quite important because not everything is covered in a mold. So, we're getting into tools now. Now, the first tools I'm going to be making are really quite important. Well, I think they're quite important in your development of your world. And I'm going to be making myself a saw, and I'm going to be making myself a prospecting pick. It was going to be between a prospecting pick and an actual chisel, but I went with prospecting pick because I thought more important to grab those ores first before we do anything else. You do need a chisel to make yourself a quern, but like I said, as long as we're collecting ores, that's the main thing. And up here is where we're going to be having our little farm. That's right. So I will need to make myself a bucket as well, which hence the reason why we need the saw. And saw opens up quite a lot of things. It's not only buckets, but you can start making yourself chests, and you can make yourself barrels and just crates, and lots of different things are required for the boards, which you will need for saws. But yeah, I'm going to use this area. I'll expand it out a little bit, but not a great deal, and we'll fence it off, and then we can get some seeds growing finally. Hopefully, they won't be attacked by the rabbits of the area. I'm hoping basically I've left enough room above head that no rabbits will spawn, and if they do spawn and jump off, they might just die, but we'll see, I suppose. Proof is in the pudding. Right, guys, I'm going to basically crack on with making some new tools, all right? So I've done this process many times before and stuff. And although it can become a little tedious, I think it's an integral part of the actual game. Having to actually smith out your own tools by obviously removing bits, and there's always that chance you could mess up and potentially destroy the item, and then it's no use whatsoever unless you add more ingot molds, and it kind of like becomes counterproductive and, you know, doesn't seem worthwhile then. And this is the opposite to basically someone that I know from the Rusty Gears server, who seems to think that this is a pointless exercise and that they don't see the need for it, or, you know. But I suppose, you know, different strokes for different folks. But yeah, that is the saw blade made, so that's the saw blade. And next we're going to be making the prospecting pick. And the prospecting pick is a super useful tool to have, and this will let you know what type of ores are in a certain radius. Now, there is a methodology behind using the prospecting pick. You can't just basically just hammer basically a hole and hopefully it gives you everything. I think the standard default is a 6-block radius, so 6 blocks around you it will tell you whether there's any trace ores or any trace ores around and stuff, and that can be anything from iron to sphalerite to anything basically, you know, bismuthite. It will let you know what's in that area from quartz to copper. But yeah, super useful. So we have our saw now, which is obviously one of the important items to get when you are developing your game. And now we're going to basically use it to make some planks, and then we're going to be using it to make a bucket. If anyone's ever made a garden in Vintage Story, unless you're going to use a pond that's already there and stuff, you're going to need a bucket to move your water around, and this is no different. So there we go. There's a recipe for the bucket, and you can use either rope or twine. Either one is absolutely fine. So you know, rope or flax twine and stuff. Either one's completely fine to use. But yeah, so here we go. Let's do a garden. So I've used this stick to an actual standard layout for a garden. So what I try to do, instead of doing the whole big long trench, I will do basically a single block of water and then space that out every two. So basically the way it works, that the further that you are away from a water source, the moisture levels of the soil will decrease. So at the water source, no, not initially, not straight away, but at the water source, it will turn to 75% moisture levels. And then another block away, it will go on to 50. Another block away, it will go on to 25%. Now, 25% moisture levels, you're gonna struggle to grow stuff with 25% moisture levels. And this little pattern I'm doing here seems to be the best way to put a water source out but not lose valuable farm space, because that's what it's about at the end of the day, losing valuable farm space. And this keeps everything hydrated nicely. This keeps everything hydrated nicely to no less than 50% anywhere in that little area, which basically means you don't have to tend to it as much as you usually do with other areas. And there's not necessarily a massive need to make a watering can straight away. Now, it is important to make a watering can at some point, but it's not necessarily needed straight away. Using this little cross section that I've done, and I'm just making myself some fences up just to basically stop myself from falling off the edge, and also to keep any basically rabbits or any other creatures that may potentially want to eat our grain and destroy our crops. Yeah, hopefully we should have a good run and grow plenty of stuff nice and quickly, and not have anything eaten by the little bunny rabbits. Well, that's the general idea anyway. Anyway, I'll let you watch the rest of it in peace and quiet. So it's planting time. So I've got 5 flax and 4 rye, or it could be the other way around, 4 rye and 5 flax. And I will be planting it around each water source, and so it's going to get its best opportunity to grow. So it is 4 flax and 5 rye. The rye is important because we'll be able to get some grain in our diet, and obviously the flax as well. Now, this is what I mean by the actual fertility and the moisture levels. At this moment in time, it's only just been done. It's always 100% moisture levels, but over time, basically, the moisture levels will drop. So next, I'd like to show you just a little bit of a demonstration of the prospecting pick and how you would go about using it. And the prospecting pick is quite a clever little tool and stuff, and it gives you 2 different settings. One setting will give you a radius of 6 all the way around you of whether there's any ores, and the other setting will basically give you a more of a closer and up close where they, you know, what's next to you type of thing. But yeah, really super useful. And you kind of have to separate the 3 test holes which I've just dug, you know, one down the bottom, one over here and one over there and so they have to be separated by a minimum of 4 blocks. So each test hole has to be separated by a minimum of 4 blocks. And there we go, that's the information that you will normally get for basically when you do your 3 test holes. Now each area will give you different basically, you know, ores and ratios and stuff, but in general basically that's the type of information that you would like to see. The more information the better, because it usually means there's actually something around the area. So now we have come all the way over to an area that I am nicknaming the Brier Patch. Now the Brier Patch is a massively built up area of trees and bushes and wildlife and danger at every turn. Basically on my way here I found basically a nice source of brown coal, which I will be obviously digging out. Well, not all of it. I've got around about 32, 34 chunks, and I basically picked up some copper as well. But yeah, we are on our way to the Brier Patch, and there's like wolves and bears and everything is there just to kill you. But yeah, this is a super good found. Finding any type of basically ignition source, be it brown coal or black coal, is always going to help you out on your play of this game. So we're going to start heading into the area now. I do stop off by an actual fruit tree. There's quite a few around here actually. I think there's like 3 or 4 fruit trees, which will be obviously great to pick up some cuttings from that and plant it in our own area. Hopefully basically get some actual proper fruit at some point. Now fruit trees do take some time to actually grow, and you're not always guaranteed success. Sometimes you will and sometimes you won't, but it's always worth giving it a try in this game. So welcome to the very edge, and I mean the very edge of the Brier Patch. Now this is basically the bushy part of it, and even this part has got quite a few wolves in it. It was nice to actually find some copper, but there is quite a lot of wolves. There's quite a few deer and elk as well, so maybe this is an area that we could look at, maybe getting a mount at some point. But coming back to this area. But yeah, this is on the very edge. We do have a trader here. I'm pretty sure it's just a luxury trader, which I will mark down on a map later on. But as you can see, it's getting more and more built up, and it's getting more and more bushy, and now the trees are coming into view now. And yeah, the vegetation is very thick, and obviously anyone who's played this game at any time whatsoever will know that the thicker the vegetation, the more thicker the trees, there is a higher chance of you finding wolves, unfortunately. Oh no, this is the death pit. But yeah, the area is basically, when it comes to really wooded areas, a lot of people tend to stick out of until a little bit later in the game, just for the sheer fact that you're pretty much guaranteed to find some sort of wolves there, or bears, or both. So yeah, not great. So this time we have come all the way to the other side of the map. So that was the Brier Pit just then. This is more of a plains area, so it's just weird. It's up on an actual plateau. So we're down below, probably, I don't know, maybe 20-30 blocks down below this height. There's even a large pond here as well, but there's ruins, not great ruins, but there's still ruins. But it's a massive plateau. It's just so flat. It'd be great for building on if we want to build up here, of course. But yeah, we're gonna have another little trader there. I'm pretty sure that he was just a treasure hunter. Nothing particularly massively useful. Well, not to me yet anyway. I mean, treasure hunters will be useful at some point, just not yet. But yeah, this area just leads on to another area which is super useful, and basically I'm so happy that I found it. Now this is undiscovered chunks. This is all brand new. I haven't been to this area before and I haven't explored this area. Now I didn't find, well, I think I found one copper vein in this area, and there's not a lot of vegetation, there's no seeds or anything like that. But what it lacks for in vegetation, I couldn't believe that. Finding an actual, basically a base just out in the middle. I get actually a cool tool from it as well. Break it open. Break it. There you go. That's been broken open. Yeah, we have our first Folks blade, which will be a bronze one as well, which is super helpful. My inventory is just a complete another mess at the moment though, which is, yeah, usually the case when you only basically have baskets for inventory. We will have to expand that sooner rather than later. Us having a saw helps that out. But yeah, I do want to come back to this area at some point and have a proper explore of the ruins. Maybe even just pick up the blocks. Just easier just to basically pick them up than making yourself. You know, saves you a little bit in resources when it comes to clay and durability of your pickaxe. But yeah, this is the super important area that we're coming to. Firstly, we found basically a new tree type. It's going to be a larch. That's right. We find the larch tree, which is what the tree is over there. Yes, I'm looking at a moose at the moment. Hello, Mr. Moose. Just keep on going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. You know you want to. Just run, will you? Wowzers. Anyway, yeah. So this is basically, it's weird. It's literally, there's no trees around anywhere. And there's just this little outcrop, you know, plateau, if you want to call it, above everything else that's got, you know, half a dozen, maybe even slightly more larch trees there, which is excellent for obviously seeds and stuff. But it's what I find basically when I go over to the actual larch trees is the most fascinating thing. So I came over to the area just to investigate it, just to double check to make sure it was large. Got a few little death pits down there, and obviously we can collect a load of saplings from all these trees, which would be brilliant. And larch is a lovely wood. It's like a pale whitey yellowy wood, but there's a weird outcropping over there as well, which I don't understand. I would like to investigate that at some point. I don't do that today, but I want to have a look at that a little bit closer. It's very, very strange. But no, what is the most interesting thing is what I find in the distance. I see a white sandy beach. Well, what I think is a white sandy beach. So you join me now a little bit later on after I'd been back to my base to empty out my inventory because it was so chocker, and I've come back over here now. The closer I get to this area, I realise basically it is actually not what I thought it was. I originally thought it was either chalk, so chalk sand, or limestone sand. But the closer I got to it, I noticed it had more of a yellow hue. So I was starting to think it was either claystone or maybe sandstone. And unfortunately, it was sandstone. But it's what's after the sand. Now, if it wasn't for the sand, it would never have come down here in the first place. But yeah, it's what's after the sand is a super cool thing. So I'm just doing some investigating after the sand. Found some blue clay, which is quite cool. Just to see what's in and about the area. As I'm here anywhere, you know, potential of more ores I could pick up, or maybe some seeds, or just basically anything interesting. And I do notice this little rock in front of me. Oh, well, slightly bigger than a hill. And there is some white blocks in the middle of it. Now, my immediate reaction was basically, oh my word, I found chalk. Because there was a distinct difference in colour between those white blocks in that dirt, I suppose, and the granite, which is in the edge and stuff. But it wasn't chalk. It is something that I have never, ever found in Vintage Story. It's marble. Green marble rock. Now, the wonderfully cool thing about green marble, or marble in general and stuff, is that you can turn it into something else. Now, marble itself is quite cool, but marble can turn into lime, and lime is used to make leather. That's right, lime water. So, we've not found a lime area, but instead, we found a marble area which you can turn into lime, which is quite cool. So obviously, just to make things interesting, Vintage Story threw in a nice little medium temporal storm whilst I was over here. So I just buried myself in the rock face and just basically waited it out. So there was no point putting myself in danger, and there was a potential chance of losing whatever marble I'd already picked up. Now the marble vein itself actually, it wasn't massive, but there was enough left over that I could potentially, come back here and maybe even use the actual marble as it was intended, maybe as a flooring or something like that. But yeah, fantastic find for me, and something well worth checking out. So firstly, thank you everybody for basically putting up with me for this voiceover special as we make our way back home and stuff. And I think I'll finish off with a nice bit of music. How about that? How's that sound? We'll play a bit of music just to finish us off as we trek back home again. And I will basically finish off at our base. Enjoy the music. So if you've enjoyed this quirky little episode with a little bit of difference, you know what to do, usual stuff. Leave me a comment, leave me something to read and stuff, and I will look forward to seeing you in the very next episode. Alrighty, bye for now. Bye.